Did you know that just a few votes can change the course of history? In the 2000 US presidential election, only 537 votes in Florida decided the outcome. Imagine that, your vote could be the one that tips the scales. But here's a shocker. In many elections, millions of eligible voters don't cast a ballot. In the 2020 US presidential election, around 33% of eligible voters didn't vote. That's a huge chunk of people missing out on making a difference. Why does this matter? Because voting is more than just marking a box on a ballot. It's about shaping the future, holding leaders accountable, and making your voice heard. From deciding on local schools to national policies, your vote plays a crucial role. In this video, we'll dive into how different voting systems work and why they matter. You'll learn about the rise of digital voting, the benefits of proportional representation, and exciting voting reforms that could change how we elect our leaders. Stay tuned to discover how your vote can make a real impact and why understanding the systems behind it is more important than ever. Ready to see how your vote can shape the future? Let's get started. Chapter 1: Power in your hands, understanding the impact of your vote. Have you ever wondered how much your vote truly matters? It's easy to feel like one vote can't make a difference, but history tells a different story. In fact, many elections have been decided by just a handful of votes. For instance, in 2000, the US presidential election came down to just 537 votes in Florida. That's a minuscule margin considering millions of people voted. Your vote is a powerful tool for change. It's your voice in the government, your way of saying what you believe in. Think of your vote as a brick in the foundation of democracy. Without each brick, the whole structure would collapse. Every vote helps to build a stable and fair government. Moreover, voting is a way to hold politicians accountable. Elected officials know they need your vote to stay in power. This means they are more likely to listen to your concerns and act on them. When more people vote, it sends a clear message that citizens are engaged and watching closely. Interestingly, voter turnout can significantly impact policy decisions. A study by the Pew Research Center found that high voter turnout tends to push policies toward the common good. In contrast, low turnout often leads to decisions that favor a select few. Not voting can have the opposite effect. When you don't vote, you give more power to those who do. This can skew the results and lead to policies that don't reflect the will of the people. In the words of former President Franklin D. Roosevelt, nobody will ever deprive the American people of the right to vote except the American people themselves, and the only way they could do this is by not voting. Voting also influences local politics, which directly affects your daily life. Local elections decide who manages your schools, police force, and public services. These decisions shape the community you live in. For example, a city council vote might determine whether your neighborhood gets a new park or improved public transit. It's fascinating to note that countries with higher voter turnout often enjoy better governance. According to the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance, countries like Denmark and Sweden have voter turnout rates above 80%, and they consistently rank high in quality of life and happiness. Getting involved in voting doesn't have to be complicated. Many resources are available to help you register, learn about the candidates, and find your polling place. Websites like vote.org offer easy tools to check your registration status and find election information. Remember, your vote is your voice. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't matter. As Mahatma Gandhi once said, the future depends on what we do in the present. So, make your voice heard and vote. Chapter 2: Beyond Ballots, the Evolution of Voting Systems. Voting has come a long way since the days of ancient Greece, where democracy first took root. Back then, citizens cast their votes by placing stones in pots. It was simple, but it worked. Fast forward to today, and the methods have become much more sophisticated. The evolution of voting systems reflects our growing understanding of fairness and accessibility. Early American elections were marred by practices like voice voting, where voters announced their choices out loud. This method was prone to intimidation and lacked privacy. By the 19th century, paper ballots became the norm. These provided more privacy but were still not foolproof. In the infamous 1876 US presidential election, disputes over ballots led to one of the most contentious results in history. It was clear that a more reliable system was needed. The introduction of mechanical voting machines in the 20th century marked a significant advancement. These machines reduced human error and made counting votes faster. However, they weren't without problems. The 2000 US election highlighted flaws in punch card voting systems, leading to the controversial hanging chads issue in Florida. To address these problems, many regions have adopted electronic voting systems. These systems offer speed and convenience but also raise concerns about security and hacking. Interestingly, countries like Estonia have embraced internet voting, allowing citizens to vote from their computers. This innovation has increased voter turnout and made voting more accessible. Proportional representation is another fascinating evolution in voting systems. Unlike winner-takes-all methods, proportional representation ensures that parties receive seats in proportion to the number of votes they get. This system is used in many European countries and is praised for creating more balanced and representative governments. Data shows that proportional representation can lead to higher voter satisfaction. According to a study by the World Bank, countries with proportional systems tend to have higher voter turnout and greater political stability. This system encourages a wider range of political parties and viewpoints, giving voters more choices. The ranked choice voting (RCV) system is also gaining popularity. In RCV, voters rank candidates by preference. If no candidate gets a majority, the least popular candidate is eliminated, and their votes are redistributed. This process continues until one candidate has a majority. Maine and Alaska have adopted RCV for their elections, and cities like San Francisco and New York are following suit. RCV is praised for reducing negative campaigning and promoting more positive, issue-focused elections. Studies from Fair Vote show that RCV can lead to more civil and constructive political discourse. As we look to the future, blockchain technology holds promise for secure and transparent voting. Blockchain can provide an unchangeable record of votes, reducing the risk of fraud and ensuring every vote is counted accurately. Some pilot projects are already testing this technology, showing encouraging results. Voting systems will continue to evolve, driven by the need for fairness, security, and accessibility. The goal is to create a system where every vote counts and every voice is heard. As we explore these innovations, it's clear that the power of the vote remains as crucial as ever. So, stay informed and participate in shaping the future of democracy. Chapter 3: Digital Democracy, the Future of Online Voting. The future of voting might be closer to your fingertips than you think. With the rise of digital democracy, online voting is becoming a hot topic. Imagine voting from the comfort of your home, using your smartphone or computer. This could make voting easier and more accessible for everyone. Estonia is leading the way with online voting. Since 2005, Estonians have been able to vote online in national elections. It's called iVoting, and about 47% of voters used it in the 2019 parliamentary elections. This system has increased voter turnout and made the voting process more efficient. But how does online voting work? In Estonia, voters use a national ID card with a secure digital signature. They log into a secure website, cast their vote, and confirm it with their digital ID. The system is designed to be user-friendly and secure. Security is a major concern with online voting. Critics worry about hacking and fraud. However, Estonia's system has robust security measures. It uses end-to-end encryption and blockchain technology to ensure votes are secure and tamper-proof. Blockchain technology is particularly exciting for online voting. It creates a decentralized and transparent ledger of votes. Each vote is recorded as a block and linked to previous blocks, forming a chain. This makes it nearly impossible to alter or delete votes. Countries like Switzerland and the United States are exploring blockchain for secure voting. Online voting could solve many problems associated with traditional voting. For example, it can reduce long lines at polling stations and make voting more accessible for people with disabilities. It can also increase participation among young people, who are more comfortable with technology. According to a Pew Research Center study, 59% of Americans believe online voting would increase voter turnout. Younger voters, in particular, are enthusiastic about the idea. This could lead to a more engaged and representative electorate. Of course, implementing online voting nationwide would require significant investment in infrastructure and security. It's not a quick fix, but the potential benefits are enormous. As technology advances, online voting might become a standard part of democratic elections. Chapter 4: The Power of Proportional Representation, More Voices, Better Choices. Have you ever felt that your vote doesn't count because the same party always wins? Proportional representation, PR, might be the solution. Unlike winner-takes-all systems, PR ensures that seats in the legislature reflect the proportion of votes each party receives. This leads to more balanced and representative governments. PR is used in many countries around the world, including Germany, Sweden, and New Zealand. It's praised for promoting diversity and giving smaller parties a chance to be heard. In Germany, for example, the Bundestag includes multiple parties, ensuring a wide range of views are represented. One of the key benefits of PR is that it reduces the number of wasted votes. In winner-takes-all systems, votes for losing candidates often feel wasted. With PR, every vote contributes to the final outcome. This can lead to higher voter turnout and greater satisfaction with the electoral process. Studies show that PR systems tend to produce more stable and effective governments. According to research by Arend Lijfet, countries with PR have higher levels of political stability and better governance. They also tend to have higher voter turnout, as people feel their votes matter more. PR can also lead to more collaborative and less adversarial politics. Since no single party usually has an absolute majority, parties must work together to form coalitions. This can lead to more consensus-based policymaking. In New Zealand, for example, coalition governments have become the norm since the country adopted PR in 1996. Interestingly, PR can also help improve gender representation in politics. Countries with PR systems tend to have more women in their parliaments. For example, Sweden, which uses PR, has one of the highest percentages of female parliamentarians in the world. Implementing PR can be challenging, especially in countries used to winner-takes-all systems. It requires changes to electoral laws and, often, public support through referendums. However, the potential benefits make it worth considering. A notable example of a successful transition to PR is New Zealand. In 1993, New Zealanders voted in a referendum to switch to a mixed-member proportional (MMP) system. The change has led to more representative and diverse parliaments. Chapter 5: Breaking the Cycle. Voting reform movements gaining momentum. Voting reform movements are gaining momentum worldwide, pushing for fairer and more transparent elections. These movements aim to break the cycle of outdated voting systems and introduce innovative methods that better reflect the will of the people. One such reform is ranked choice voting, RCV. This system allows voters to rank candidates in order of preference. If no candidate wins a majority, the least popular candidate is eliminated, and their votes are redistributed. This process continues until one candidate has a majority. RCV helps ensure that the winning candidate has broad support. Maine and Alaska have adopted RCV for state and federal elections, and many cities, like San Francisco and New York, are using it for local elections. According to Fair Vote, RCV leads to more civil campaigns and reduces negative advertising. Candidates are encouraged to appeal to a broader audience, knowing they may need second or third choice votes to win. RCV also helps third-party candidates. In traditional voting systems, voters often avoid third-party candidates for fear of wasting their vote. With RCV, voters can safely choose their preferred candidate without worrying about the spoiler effect. This leads to more diverse choices and encourages new voices in politics. Another reform gaining traction is automatic voter registration, AVR. AVR registers eligible voters automatically when they interact with government agencies, such as getting a driver's license. This system has been implemented in states like Oregon, which saw a significant increase in voter registration and turnout. According to the Brennan Center for Justice, states with AVR have seen voter registration rates increase by up to 94%. Expanding early voting and mail-in voting are also critical reforms. These methods provide flexibility and convenience, allowing more people to participate in elections. In the 2020 U.S. presidential election, a record number of Americans voted early or by mail, leading to the highest voter turnout in over a century. Studies by the Pew Research Center show that expanding these options can significantly boost participation. Public financing of campaigns is another essential reform. It aims to reduce the influence of money in politics by providing candidates with public funds if they meet certain criteria. This allows candidates to focus on voters rather than fundraising. States like Maine and Arizona have implemented public financing with positive results, leading to more competitive and less money-driven elections. Gerrymandering, the practice of drawing electoral districts to favor a particular party, is a significant issue that reform movements are tackling. Independent redistricting commissions are proposed solutions to create fairer districts. States like California and Arizona use these commissions to draw fair and competitive districts, reducing partisan bias.